It's different. I mean, dude, how many people have you ever thought? How many people you think can tighten their chain and feel confident about tightening their chain
In the sport?
at SMX? If you went on the 250, and not picking on the 250 guys, we can place bets on the 450. How many 250 guys you think can tighten their chain?
I don't know, man. Like, I reckon RJ Hampshire,
Yeah,
Levi Kitchen probably could.
yeah,
Bunch of the privateers could.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know if Deegan could. I saw him trying to fix his bike on one of his videos.
You think Joe could?
Nah.
No?
Joe couldn't take a seat off.
Oh, come on, dude. Nah, yeah, he could do that.
I don't know. Tightening the chains, like, and being comfortable to ride Supercross with it. That's the kicker, right? I bet a ton of them could tighten their chain. I bet not many of them would go and do a lap of Supercross after they tighten their chain.
How about a torque wrench?
Yeah, I don't know.
Think they know how to do torque wrench? How about 450s? Can Kenny tighten his chain?
Dude, good question. The thing of like riding Supercross after it, that's the one where like, I don't know, that's a huge thing to be confident in.
How about when I was at Honda, like, and the jetting was always off? We had these crappy Mikuni carburetors, and I could never get it like jetted right with the weather and stuff back home. Dude, I was jetting my own bike. Yeah, this is back in the day. This is not uncommon for back then, but yeah, jetting my own stuff. New suspension came. I'm putting all that stuff because I didn't have a practice bike mechanic until my last 2 years. Just me and, yeah. So my dad was working. My dad didn't retire. I hired him in the end of 2005.
Wow, that late.
Uh-huh.
So the whole time you were at Honda, you didn't have a practice bike mechanic?
My dad would do stuff once he got home from work, and he'd get it ready for the next day. But if something went wrong during the day, I was the guy. I was a dude, yeah. So, like, you know, we're changing parts, linkages, like sprockets. I am during the day.
Who was at the track with you? Your mum?
My mom, and then I had another friend of mine, Terry, that would come with me when my mom couldn't come.
That's
do
wild,
my
dude.
laps and stuff. But so I think that's what's so incredible to me about. I bet Eli could do his chain and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think he could do, right?
Yeah.
So this is what is so fascinating to me is I feel like these guys, this generation, you hand them the bike and they somewhat adapt to how the bike is. Where in my generation, I feel like we tailored the bike to us.
For sure.
There is no way like I would adjust my riding to how the bike was. There's no shot. I would, if my bike sucked, I would ride it the way that I know how to ride, and I wouldn't try to adapt to it. Maybe I don't know, maybe that's where this generation is better. But so fast forwarding, I feel like the guy that knows more about his bike today could maybe have a little bit of advantage because he would be able to take out the guesswork. That was the crazy thing about Kenny when we were at RCH is he can ride around a bike that isn't working well. It's pretty incredible, right? He's like, well, it's doing this. I'm like, that thing looks pretty good. But he's adjusting his riding, where us back in the day,
they let it, you'd be,
you know
like,
what I'm saying?
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
I guess what I'm saying is I still feel like there's a human element today in setting the more they know about their bikes, the less guesswork there will be for the engineers, whether it's ECU guy, whether it's suspension guy, engine guy, chassis, and the less guesswork that you can take away from those guys, the easier it's going to be to hone in on, like, hey, give me this. I need a little bit more of this. Like there were times like I would tell Goose, I'm like, dude, this is back before fuel injection. Like, hey, dude, I need to change the main jet here or the pilot jet here. Actually move the needle position, like one click.
Because you knew what it did.
Yep.
Because
100%.
you'd done it yourself.
That's right.
Well, there's stories of Schumacher where he was like the first maybe not the first, but he was like a notorious guy in his era where he wouldn't leave the track until the mechanics left the track.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Have you ever watched the Schumacher doco on Netflix?
Mm-mm.
So interesting, dude.
Really?
Like crazy interesting. So he would not leave the track 2 a.m., 3 a.m. He would stay there until the mechanics left because he wanted to know what was happening in his car. And nowadays, so like Danny will be at the track doing a briefing with engineers for like hours and hours and hours, but nothing in the car. All the mechanics are doing what they're doing, and he's in another room with like just engineers, man, just download of like going through data. And so this generation, I'm just sort of thinking as you're talking, you know, like this generation really isn't moving the clicker, changing the sag, changing the linkage, knowing what the bolts are, knowing how the thing works, knowing how it goes in.
Knowing how it works is
it's just a
key.
bit of feedback. If you're the one that's actually putting preload on your fork spring, or you know, like you're doing those things, actually changing the sag, seeing the measurements change, it makes a massive difference to that.
You know, like fork height. You know, what does that look like?
Tension on the bolts.
Offset, you know, different offsets, different angles, offsets different than angles on the triple clamp side of things. So how does that affect not only the front, what's that going to do to the rear? Oh, you want a bigger sprocket on the rear? All right, well, guess what? The wheel's going forward, so you're going to have different leverage points on the swing arm, so it's going to work good here, but it's not going to work as good over here. You have to know, like, I guess what I'm saying is the more you know that, the more they know that, the more they will be able to understand, like you said, knowing how it works. And if you don't know how it works, it makes it tougher on everyone else. And I feel like there would be a value to a rider the more that they could know.
I know that
Wrong.
No, I agree. I know that Chad is like that.
Yeah.
Because I've seen him jet Tate's bike. Yeah. And like just get obsessed with like the jetting. And did James know any of that, or was James the first one?
Dude, honestly, that's a good question. So it's funny you say that, because I'll never forget, like Johnny O and I were doing some stuff, getting ready, and I'm like, I always remember Stu's forks were so stiff. You know, I'm like, oh, dude, I got him on, like, he's gonna struggle on this certain track because of that. And not always did it work out that way, but there were a lot of times where just like, if he would have considered doing this or maybe known more about this, but he's pretty smart. He's smart. He knows. I think he knows how he likes the bike to feel, or knew how he liked the bike to feel. How we got there, you know, like less oil here, change the sim stack here, blah blah blah. Like I don't know. I'll ask him though.
Be interesting to know.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.